Hey guys, we are quickly just going to review R9, which is analyzing the point of view in a text that uses strong rhetoric. So remember, when we're talking about point of view, we're talking about perspective and what the author believes about a topic. So we're not talking about first, second, third person point of view. And I want you to look at how they develop that perspective using ethos, pathos, and logos. So ethos is the credibility of the speaker or writer. Pathos means they're using emotional appeals, and logos means they're using logical appeals. So you can look back at the lesson that goes into depth on those if that's what you're struggling with. But I'm going to go through a few examples with you here. So logos, logic, something is persuasive because it makes sense. So this is part of the transcript from the podcast. So the payphone they're talking about, Jay tells detectives that Adnan called him on January 13th, 1999, told Jay he'd kill Hay, come and get me, I'm at Best Buy. And he goes through this whole thing that Jay's talking about. Let's see. They're still talking about the payphone. The drawing shows the booth on the left outside the sidewalk. We did a lot of research on this, where it was, whether it was, and we could not account for this phone booth. That's because it never was. She said the only conceivable place for the phone would have been inside the foyer part of the store. So this is help proving that Anon is innocent, because like most of the prosecutors' theory based it on this cell phone situation, or the phone booth situation, and now they're getting into this like the phone booth wasn't even there, so it proves that Jay is lying, and this is a use of that logical appeal. The next one is pathos. So this is Adnan speaking to Sarah Koenig, the lady doing the podcast. So we're looking at how he makes people feel pity for him, feel sympathy for him, and kind of view him as more than a murderer. So he's talking about it was very stressful. The jury's sitting there looking at him. They're going to be the ones to make the decision. He feels like he has to put on this show. Sorry, my dog's going crazy. Where's he go? Else is going for a little while. So frustrating because you want to keep interrupting when they're lying about him, and he can't. So then he goes into, but you don't even get a chance to speak. You don't get to say anything. That's the most frustrating thing in the world. So that is pathos, because it's focusing on this idea that no one has looked at Adnan from his perspective, and when he describes it here, we do feel sorry for him. We can understand that frustration by putting ourselves in a situation where maybe someone has been lying about us and we can't do anything about it. So the last one we're going to look at is ethos. Ethos, remember, is the credibility. So this is a really strange example of ethos, but it works. So Laura is the one that was talking about the payphone not being there, and Sarah Koenig is interviewing her. So Laura says, I used to steal CDs from there all the time, so I was pretty aware of what was around. This is where this ethos is weird and not usually what is considered ethos. So right off the bat, when she says she's stealing CDs, like, this discredits her. But here's why it works. So here she's being honest, and as we get further down, so you're saying you would have noticed a thing like that because you were kind of aware. And she says, yeah, because you're paying attention. You go in and are more aware of your surroundings than just walking into the store. I remember looking up into the ceiling and seeing if there was any eyes in the sky, any cameras. There's a whole method, but you're very aware of who's entering and who was there at the entrance when you're leaving, because you're stealing, man, there's no phones there. So this shows that she knows what she's talking about. Um, Even though she is a thief, she has been honest and straight up about it. And she's very much going into detail describing how that process happened. And I don't know if you feel the same way. I believe her because of the way she describes, like, she's looking for cameras, this whole method, um, being aware of the entrance when you're leaving, and because you're stealing, and it makes sense. So, again, this is not a typical way ethos is used, but it's the way it is used in this situation. So look for non-typical ways that the writers can use ethos as well.